be here and talk about stream restoration in Germany, mainly in southern Germany, in Bavaria. I'm a freshwater biologist visiting and living in Canada many times. Actually, my wife is from Quebec. She's Canadian, of course. And I was doing my postdoc in Vancouver. I was doing research at the biological station in St. Andrews with Yui Ekachi and other biologists. And I try to give you some ideas what I was doing mostly in my career as a freshwater biologist, mainly working on sick rivers, on degraded rivers, for example, on the Danube. I want to start telling you that if we concentrate on the blockage of fish migration caused by dams and weirs, this is one of our focus or one of our problems, one of our major hydromorphological problems. But we have many other diseases, or the rivers have many other diseases. Well, it started in the last century, where most of the bigger streams were channelized and straightened. Then they were put in what we call a corset with embankments, with rocks. They were fixated, and the water beds couldn't move anymore. And then after, or the consequences were stream bed erosion, and that's why they had to build dams, and they used the dams, of course, for electric power. The same I saw on my last visit, I think it was in 2018, on the St.Croix River, as you know, the border river between Maine and New Brunswick. And well, so we try to make these dams passable for fish. And there are different ways, of course. Everybody is working more or less with the same tools. So we try to buy land along the river banks. And if we get that land, we remove the embankment so that the waterbed can move. This is one part. And concerning or regarding the dams, it's very difficult, of course, since Germany stopped or is on the way stopping all the nuclear power. So alternatives like hydropower, wind, and so on becomes more and more important. But right now, most of the rivers are full with dams. And so first priority is always the lower dams to make them passable for fish. And of course, there are different ways. Mainly, we prefer, instead of technical patterns, we try to make or to build bypasses, natural bypasses. And there was a big project on the Danube, where we have, in my area, on the upper Danube, 5 big dams. And in the third of these 5 dams, there's the last remaining alluvial forest. And there's a lot of space. And that was a chance where we could build a bypass, a new river, going around the dam. And it has a discharge of about 5 to 9 cubic per second. So it's a fairly good river. And this was only possible having space. And in our country, it's a high populated country, so space for rivers, which we also need for flood protection. Space to get is very difficult because we interact or we compete with agriculture. So anyway, this is one of the major goals, and here we have the so-called European Water Frame Directive since 2000. That's a very important directive because it puts pressure on politicians and on all the participants along the river. And the goal of that directive says that all the rivers have to be in a good shape, in a good so-called good ecological condition. And we measure that condition, or we monitor the status of the rivers by biological tools using fish, macroinvertebrates, macrophytes, algae. That's it. And of course, additional chemistry. And by doing this since 2 decades now, we have a very good idea about the ecological status. For example, in Bavaria, which the rivers are even better than in the northern part of Germany, just 20% of our rivers reached that good status. So that means 80% failed the status, 80% of that rivers need therapies. And for most of the therapies, we need the land along the river. So it's a hard business. And as I said, wherever we can make them migratable for fish, we do it. And there are even other possibilities on the Main River, for example, north of Bavaria. We have an arrangement with the people who run the dams, who run the hydropower stations. So when the fish migrate, when we know there's a run in the next 2 or 3 days, this is mainly for eel in this case. They shut down their turbines so that the fish can migrate upstream and downstream. For eel, it's mainly here downstream. Maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago, it wasn't a subject. So it became really a focus using that water framework, this European Water Framework Directive. I look on my, just want to look on my presentation and to give you some other ideas here. Another problem is also, for example, culverts. If the road is crossing a river, then we in the future, or since a few years, we don't allow culverts anymore. They have to build bridges, and in all the culverts they have to put rocks to make it passable for smaller organisms and so on. You know, another thing happened. With low slope, the rivers, meandering rivers. What they did in the past, when they straightened and channelized the river, then they cut the meanders, but they left just a part of the meander to be what we call a baby room for young fish. We tried to buy the land and to re-meander those streams again. So that by doing that, you slow down the velocity and you slow down bed erosion. Yeah, another thing is, if you talk about stream restoration, we have a terrible lack of dead wood. We know since quite a while that dead wood is a very important, what we call substrate, in many ways, very important. So what's happening if there's a flood, then the trees fall into the river and then they land on the weir or on the hydropower dam, which causes problems. So we put dead trees or dead wood into the river, and we fix them with ropes, with iron ropes on the bank. I mean, if we go back to the St. Croix River, so we have to talk again about the fish passage. And I remember the alewives in the St. Croix River. And as I have heard, I'm very happy to hear that I think the lower dam or lower dams are now migratable for the alewives, and that they're coming back. And yeah, there was a monitoring, the same what we do here. You have to monitor the success and to learn what you are doing. So I would say for that moment, that's it. Maybe I have forgotten something, but we can discuss that later on. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.